Okay, let's dive right in. Forget dusty maps leading to buried gold. Imagine a different kind of treasure trove, one brimming not with coins, but with staggering natural beauty, layers of history that stretch back millions of years, and a vibrant cultural mix, all tucked away in a specific corner of the world.
It sounds like a place just ripe for discovery, doesn't it? And that's exactly the picture painted by the material we're exploring today.
Yeah.
We're venturing into a region that, according to this document we have, is precisely this kind of hidden gem.
We are focusing our deep dive today on the northern Red Sea region of Eritrea. And our guide for this exploration is, well, it's a fascinating source document. It's titled A Treasure Trove of Tourism.txt, authored by Mussy Ephraim.
That's right. And our mission really is clear to unpack this source. We want to go beyond just listing facts and really extract the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight the author presents.
Yeah.
We need to understand why this region, through the lens of this document, is described using such evocative language, a treasure trove for tourism. What is it about this unique blend of land and sea, its deep past and its living present, that leads the author to this conclusion? We're here to see what this specific source tells us.
Okay, so let's begin with the source does, by setting the scene, the basic lay of the land and sea. This region, the Northern Red Sea, or NRS region, holds a significant position within Eritrea. The document establishes its scale right away, noting it's the country's second longest region.
It gives us the dimensions to approximately 33,861 square kilometers. That's that's a substantial piece of territory.
It really is.
But what's perhaps even more striking, and something the document highlights immediately, is its connection to the water.
Absolutely. It emphasizes the region's significant coastline. The source states it stretches for a considerable 725 kilometers. That's a long way.
It is. And when you combine that kind of extensive shoreline with what lies just offshore, you start to get a sense of a place intrinsically linked to the maritime world.
Right, like it's defined by the sea.
And that connection is underscored by its status as a vital maritime hub. The document points out the presence of 9 harbors.
9.
Yeah, 9 harbors. And mentions a significant port. So this isn't just, picturesque coastline. It's historically and currently a place of movement, trade, and connection across the Red Sea waters.
Okay, now let's talk about what lies beyond the mainland itself. The number of islands the source mentions is truly impressive.
Staggering, really. The document tells us there are over 300 islands scattered across the waters off the mainland.
Over 300. Wow.
It's not just a few islands. It's an extensive network, a whole archipelago system.
And are there specific islands the author calls out, like ones that are particularly important or representative of this?
Yes. The source specifically highlights the Dahlak Archipelago and the Hawkol Islands, and it notes they are particularly renowned for their rich marine biodiversity.
Ah, biodiversity.
Okay. So this selection immediately guides our attention to these areas as key components of the treasure trove, suggesting their underwater life is a major draw.
Over 300 islands. And the source says most are uninhabited or sparsely populated.
It implies that, yeah. Just picturing that expanse of scattered land masses surrounded by water immediately brings to mind ideas of secluded exploration, hidden coves, and maybe unspoiled environments.
It definitely sets a stage for a particular kind of maritime adventure. Yeah.
It certainly does. But the region's geography isn't just about the horizontal spread of land and sea. The document emphasizes another striking feature: its dramatic altitudinal variation.
Right, this is where it gets really interesting and maybe less intuitive for a coastal region. The source tells us the landscape varies dramatically.
It goes from over 3,020 meters above sea level, think high mountain peaks and plateaus.
Okay, pretty high up.
All the way down to 100 meters below sea level in certain areas.
Whoa, wait, below sea level?
Yeah.
Like the Dead Sea?
Similar concept, yeah. That is a monumental swing in elevation within a relatively confined geographical space.
In this extreme range in altitude, leads to a rather remarkable and unique phenomenon, something the source captures with a specific phrase, doesn't it?
It does. It uses the Ministry of Tourism's own slogan to illustrate this point: 3 seasons in 2 hours. The author clearly feels this slogan encapsulates something essential about the region's dynamic nature.
3 seasons in 2 hours. So it's not just saying the altitude changes, it's saying that because of this dramatic shift, you can experience dramatically different climates and effectively different seasons in a very short period of time, maybe just a couple of hours drive.
Exactly. The source provides the temperature range to underscore this. Fluctuations can go from potential highs around 50 degrees Celsius.
50. That's incredibly hot.
Yeah, in the low-lying depression areas near or below sea level, down to lows of approximately 10 degrees Celsius up in the mountain
10
regions.
degrees, so quite cool. That's a swing of 40 degrees Celsius over what could be a relatively short physical distance.
It's pretty extreme. The image the source paints is one of traversing wildly different environmental conditions just by changing your elevation.
And the document explains why this happens.
Yeah, it says this unique geographical position and the rapid altitude changes create a distinct microclimate. It notes that this influences rapid seasonal transitions across small areas and significantly impacts where local flora and fauna can thrive.
So the plants and animals really vary depending on the altitude zone.
Right. It mentions an expansive green belt in certain areas, highlighting its importance as a habitat for diverse fauna, including both domesticated livestock and wild species.
Okay, let's pause here and connect this to you, the listener. Can you picture this? Starting your day, bundled up against the cool mountain air, maybe seeing clouds below you, and then just a couple of hours later, you're feeling the intense heat shimmering off the ground in a low-lying desert area, or perhaps enjoying the warm, humid air by the coast.
What kind of unique travel experiences does this dramatic, rapidly changing geography enable? How does this combination of extreme highs and lows, this vast island-strewn coastline, and the dynamic climate set the stage for the treasure trove the source describes?
It immediately suggests a place of immense natural variety and potential for a journey that feels like it's moving through different worlds, all in one region.
Absolutely. And building on the physical geography, the source then takes us deeper, literally and figuratively, to explore what lies beneath the surface, the region's ecology, its geology, and its resources. It describes a complex interplay of these elements.
Okay, so beyond the dramatic landscapes. And it starts with the vibrant marine life. Given the mention of hundreds of islands in that long coastline, focusing on the underwater world makes perfect sense in this context.
Exactly. The document highlights the health of the region's waters, specifically stating they are unpolluted, which is, crucial for supporting a rich ecosystem.
That's a big claim, unpolluted waters. Does it back that up?
It does, with some impressive numbers that paint a picture of incredible biodiversity.
What kind of numbers are we talking about here?
Well, the source provides specific counts. Over 1,200 fish species.
1,200.
Yeah, 1,200 fish species, 950 varieties of seashells, and 220 coral species. These aren't generic statements. These are quantitative figures the author presents to emphasize the sheer richness and health of the marine environment.
Wow, over 1,200 different types of fish, and nearly 1,000 types of seashells, hundreds of coral species. This level of detail in the source clearly positions the underwater world as a primary component of the region's treasure. It's not just about the coast, it's about a thriving, colorful ecosystem beneath the waves.
It certainly points to significant potential for activities like diving and snorkeling, which the source does touch on later. But the region's dynamism isn't confined to the water. The document then moves to the geological characteristics.
Okay, so the rocks and landforms. It describes a dynamic landscape featuring volcanic mountains and crater lakes.
Yes, these are described as remnants of past volcanic activity. This tells us the region has a history of powerful geological forces shaping it. The landscape isn't static. It's been forged by, fiery processes.
And it seems that geological activity isn't just ancient history, right? The source mentions active geothermal zones.
That's correct. The presence of specific hot springs is cited as evidence of ongoing subterranean thermal activity. The document names Mewui, Eritrea, and Alphabet as examples.
So there's heat coming up from below.
It suggests that, deep beneath the surface, the Earth is still very much alive and active in this region.
And adding another layer of geological extremity, the source notes that the region extends into parts of the infamous Danakil Depression.
Precisely. While the Danakil Depression is often thought of separately, the source includes parts of it as falling within the NRS region. This area is globally known for its incredibly extreme temperatures, unique and often otherworldly geological formations. Think salt flats, acidic hot springs, volcanic features.
Right, it's a pretty hostile environment.
Very. Its inclusion in the NRS description by the author just underscores the incredible range of geological landscapes present, from high mountains to these deep, hot depressions.
So we have incredible marine life, evidence of powerful volcanic history, ongoing geothermal activity, and even a connection to the extreme Danakil. What else does the source highlight in terms of what the Earth offers in this region? Any resources?
It does. The document details significant mineral resources found there. It lists gold, potassium, and salt deposits.
Gold and potassium, really.
Yeah, specifically mentioning their potential for economic exploitation.
Mhm.
Beyond those with clear industrial or economic value, it also lists other deposits like corals, gypsum, granite, and asbestos.
Asbestos, too. So, according to this source, the land isn't just scenically varied and geologically dynamic, it also holds considerable material wealth.
Exactly. The author in this section brings together the ecological health of the marine environment, the dynamic geological features, and the presence of these mineral resources. The conclusion drawn in the document is that the convergence of these elements positions the NRS as a region of considerable ecological and economic significance. It's a place where natural beauty, scientific interests, and potential resource wealth all come together.
Okay, let's think about this, listener. The source presents this rich natural environment, from the fish in the sea to the minerals in the ground. Consider the implications of such rich natural resources as framed by the source. While it's presented in a tourism document, the mention of potential economic exploitation of minerals like gold and potassium adds another dimension. Beyond the potential for tourism, what other kinds of potential do these assets represent for the region based only on what this source tells us? And then there's the other side. The author emphasizes the unpolluted waters and the high variety of marine life. How does that specific emphasis underscore the importance of conservation efforts, suggesting a potential tension or balance that needs to be struck between utilizing resources and protecting the ecological treasures?
It definitely presents a complex picture, doesn't it? A mix of potential and responsibility.
Yeah, it really does.
So, moving from the natural world, the source then shifts focus to the human element, describing the region as a cultural melting pot.
Ah, the people. And it grounds this by listing the specific ethnic groups that inhabit the northern Red Sea region.
It does. It names 6 of Eritrea's 9 ethnic groups as being present here. The Saho, Tigray, Afar, Tigrinya, Rashida, and Bedoyet.
6 out of 9. So, within this one geographical region, according to the source, you find representatives of 2/3 of the country's distinct ethnic communities.
That's a significant concentration of cultural diversity in one area. The source notes explicitly that this diversity adds a rich cultural dimension to the tourism experience.
Interesting. While the document doesn't go into extensive detail about the specific traditions, languages, or ways of life of each group, the simple fact that 6 distinct communities call this region home is a powerful statement about its human landscape.
It paints a picture of a region where different histories, customs, and perhaps livelihoods coexist and interact, shaped by the unique geography and history we've discussed.
And for you, the listener, consider what this means in the context of a treasure trove for tourism. Even without deep dives into individual cultures in the source, the presence of 6 distinct ethnic groups suggests potential for incredibly varied cultural interactions and learning experiences for a visitor.
Yeah, how does this human mosaic, this living diversity, complement and enrich the natural and historical attractions we've been exploring? It adds another layer to the treasure, one that is alive and evolving. It hints at opportunities to encounter different perspectives, different ways of relating to this dramatic landscape and coastline.
Absolutely. Okay, so from living cultures, where does the source take us next?
It takes us on a journey through time, exploring the deep layers of archaeology and history revealed in the region. The author emphasizes that the NRS's allure isn't just its present natural beauty or cultural mix, it extends far back into the past, spanning vast eras.
And the document highlights the region's long-standing importance as a pivotal nexus in global interactions.
This is key to understanding its historical significance as presented in the source. For centuries, it served as a critical artery for trade and cultural exchanges, connecting ancient and classical civilizations.
So not just a local player, but connected globally.
Very much so. It wasn't just a stop along the way. It was a vital link between Africa, the Arabian Peninsula, and the broader Indian Ocean world.
That's a huge area.
It is. The source frames it as a place that consistently witnessed the movement of goods, ideas, and peoples across continents. It points to the archaeological evidence, the remnants of settlements, trading posts, and fortifications, as proof of its role in facilitating this transcontinental commerce and cultural diffusion.
And the coastline and islands we talked about earlier, they played a role.
A crucial one. They weren't just natural features, they were the literal gateway for this maritime trade, shaping the region's historical trajectory according to the source.
But the history this source explores goes back much, much further than ancient civilizations, right? I remember the outline mentioning prehistory.
Oh, yes. The document dedicates significant attention to the region's deep prehistory, its paleontological treasures. This is where the treasure trove really stretches our concept of time.
How far back are we talking?
The NRS, according to this document, holds a profound record of prehistoric life, with discoveries dating back millions of years.
Millions. Like what?
Well, it mentions a particularly significant find from 1997 in Dogali, an elephant fossil.
An elephant fossil, okay.
How old? The source gives its age as approximately 27 to 28 million years ago.
27 million? That's incredibly old.
It is. And importantly, the source explains the significance of this find. It contributed substantially to understanding the evolutionary lineage of modern African elephants, providing insights into ancestral forms and developmental stages. So this fossil isn't just an old bone, it's a piece of the puzzle of evolution, as highlighted by the author.
Wow. Okay, that's amazing. And then there's a site that the source clearly positions as globally important for understanding human origins, the Buya site.
Yes, the Buya site is described as a remarkable paleontological treasure trove situated near the village of Buya, about 110 kilometers from Massawa. The author gives it prominence for specific reasons.
And what's the most renowned discovery from Buya mentioned in the text?
Without question, Madame Buya, this is a 1 million-year-old cranium of Homo erectus.
Homo erectus, from a million years ago.
That's what the source states. It emphasizes its pivotal role in tracing the evolution of early humans. Finding a skull this old, belonging to Homo erectus, is a landmark event in paleoanthropology. It's a direct connection to a crucial stage in our own species' lineage.
And it wasn't just that single discovery of Buya. The source mentioned more.
No, the document points to subsequent expeditions in 2011 and 2012 that unearthed additional ancient hominid fossils there. This reinforces the author's point about the region's sustained importance in this field. It's a place that keeps yielding vital clues about our origins.
That's incredible. And perhaps one of the most evocative finds mentioned is the discovery of ancient footprints.
This is truly compelling, isn't it? The source highlights the discovery of 800,000-year-old Homo erectus footprints at the Buya site.
800,000 years old footprints.
Yeah, footprints are incredibly rare in the fossil record, and they offer unique, tangible evidence. They show that Homo erectus wasn't just present. They were walking, moving, and living in this exact location nearly 1 million years ago. It's like a direct imprint of our ancestors' activity.
Wow, just imagining that.
So the source positions these collective paleontological discoveries, the ancient elephant, the hominid fossils, including Madame Buya, and those incredible footprints as establishing the region as crucial for paleontological research, offering invaluable glimpses into both megafauna and hominid evolution.
It clearly argues that this deep prehistoric record is a major part of what makes the region a treasure trove, relevant not just locally, but for global scientific understanding.
Exactly. But the story of early humans in this region, according to the source, also has a connection to the sea, returning to that maritime theme. It mentions the Abdur site.
Abdur, where's that?
Located on the eastern edge of the Gulf of Zula, the Abdur site is significant for a specific reason highlighted in the document. Fossil discoveries and associated artifacts found there provide definitive evidence that early modern humans were utilizing marine resources.
Okay, so humans using the sea. How long ago was this?
The source dates this back approximately 125,000 years before the present.
125,000 years ago. That seems really early for using marine resources.
It does push back the timeline. The source frames this as offering invaluable insights into the development of maritime adaptations and subsistence strategies among our ancestors, how early humans interacted with and relied upon the ocean.
Were there tools found there too?
Yes. The document also notes the presence of tools used by early hominids at this site, further illustrating their presence and activities in this coastal environment.
So the narrative presented by the source takes us from the deep evolutionary past of elephants and early hominids millions of years ago,
Right.
through early modern humans adapting to coastal life 125,000 years ago, and then brings us forward to the rise of ancient and medieval centers of trade and faith. Quite a sweep.
It really is, and it starts with the ancient port of Adulis.
Adulis, described as a prominent site throughout antiquity, established around the 2nd millennium BC. That makes it thousands of years old.
It certainly does. The source emphasizes its role as a central commercial hub. Adulis facilitated crucial trade connections between the Horn of Africa, the Arabian Peninsula, the Mediterranean region, and even the Far East.
The Far East, too. Wow.
Yeah, it was a major node in ancient global commerce routes, demonstrating the region's long-standing external connections, according to this text.
But the source notes that following the decline of Adulis, another area rose to prominence, the Dahlak Islands. We mentioned them earlier for biodiversity.
Yes, the document explains that the Dahlak Islands emerged as a vital center for commerce and for the dissemination of Islam in East Africa. This played a crucial role from the 8th to the 15th centuries.
So important for trade and religion.
Very. The author points to the island's ruins, specifically mentioning Kufic-inscribed stones, that's an early form of Arabic script and coral masonry, as tangible evidence of this significant historical period and the spread of Islam through maritime trade routes.
And speaking of tangible evidence on the Dahlak Islands, the source details a particularly intriguing feature related to water management. Didn't it mention cisterns?
It did. It describes the discovery of 365 cisterns and wells carved directly into the coral bedrock.
365, like one for every day of the year.
The document highlights this as demonstrating ancient and effective water management techniques and speculates, yeah, perhaps it was designed with one well for each day. Whether that's literal or not, it's a lot of wells.
Definitely. It's not just a historical structure, it's a clever solution to a practical problem in a dry environment, showcasing ingenuity from the past.
For sure. Now, moving back to the mainland coast, the source brings us to Massawa, often affectionately called the Pearl of the Red Sea.
Ah, yes, Massawa, known for its architecture.
That's right. Massawa is renowned for its unique architecture, specifically its coral-based buildings showing Ottoman influence. The document traces its evolution into a significant port and a center for pilgrimage and tourism from the 15th century onwards.
And its historical importance, as presented in the source, is deeply tied to its role as a gateway for major world religions, particularly Islam.
Absolutely. The source points to the presence of one of the world's earliest mosques in Massawa, the Sahaba Mosque,
How early are we talking?
dating back to the early 7th century.
The 7th century, that's incredibly early, like right near the beginning of Islam itself.
Exactly. It places Massawa squarely at the very beginning of Islam's history and its spread, according to the source material.
That's a major historical claim. And finally, the source points us inland from the coast up towards the highlands to Debre Bison Monastery.
Right, located about 25 kilometers from Asmara. The monastery setting is described vividly in the document. It sits dramatically atop a mountain ridge at an elevation of 2,400 meters.
It's quite high up again.
Yeah, often depicted as being situated above the clouds, offering breathtaking views.
But its significance, according to the author, is much more than just its stunning location, right?
Yeah,
It's about what's inside.
indeed. The monastery is highlighted as a crucial repository of invaluable historical documents. It houses over 1,000 ancient manuscripts and pictures.
1,000 manuscripts.
Over 1,000, yeah. Preserved on materials like leather, wood, and cloth. This makes it an essential site for historical and cultural research, a true historical library perched high in the mountains.
Wow. And the source also briefly mentions the preservation of fortifications used during Eritrea's struggle for independence, bringing it more up to date.
It does. This adds a layer of modern history, showing how the region continues to hold significant historical sites relevant to the nation's formation. So the historical narrative in the source truly spans from millions of years ago right up to the 20th century. It covers an immense time frame.
Listener, let's really sit with the scale of history presented here, as detailed by this source. From evidence of life in early humans millions of years ago, through early coastal adaptations 125,000 years ago, to major ancient trade centers like Adulis. The spread of a world religion from its very beginnings in Massawa, important medieval ports on the Dahlak Islands, remote mountaintop repositories of ancient texts at Debre Bison, and sites from a recent independence struggle. How do these specific sites, chosen by the author, connect this region to major global events and the grand sweep of human evolutionary history?
And what would it feel like, to stand in the Buya site and contemplate the 800,000-year-old footprints of Homo erectus, knowing you were walking where ancient ancestors did?
Exactly. Or to walk the streets of Massawa, knowing that ancient traders and pilgrims passed through this very spot for centuries. Or to see the coral cisterns on the Dahlak Islands, marveling at the ingenuity of people thousands of years ago.
Mhm.
The source doesn't just list these places. It implies they offer profound connections to the past.
So bringing all of these diverse elements together, the unique and dramatic geography, the rich marine and terrestrial ecology, the significant mineral resources, the vibrant cultural mosaic, and this incredible deep sweep of history and archaeology. This helps us understand why the source so confidently describes the NRS region as a treasure trove of tourism.
It's clear the author is presenting it as a truly multifaceted destination, not just one thing, but many things.
Exactly. The document argues that it offers substantial opportunities for both land-based and maritime tourism, appealing to a very wide range of interests.
So what does it summarize as the main attractions on land?
On the land side, the source summarizes the attractions we've touched upon: the scenic, rapidly changing landscapes, the globally significant historical and archaeological sites we just discussed, recreational areas that host wildlife and birds, building on the ecology section, and the more recent fortifications.
Okay, and the maritime domain.
Mhm.
Given the islands and coastline, that must be a big focus.
It's equally, if not more, emphasized. The source lists the numerous islands, the vibrant coral reefs, and the diverse marine life as core attractions, drawing directly from the ecology details provided earlier, those 1,200 fish species, for instance.
And it goes on to detail specific, unique experiences that are possible because of these features.
It does. It highlights opportunities such as recreational diving, specifically noting the presence of shipwrecks.
Shipwrecks. Interesting.
And fascinatingly, the source specifies that these shipwrecks range from ancient times all the way through to World War II.
Ancient shipwrecks.
Ah.
Underwater archaeology.
It seems to imply that potential. So there's history not just on land and in the sediment layers, but preserved beneath the waves, offering a unique dive experience blending ecology and history.
That's pretty cool. What else?
Bird watching is also mentioned, likely linked to the islands and coastal areas and general sightseeing across the many islands, just exploring that network.
And the document even names specific islands in the context of these activities, suggesting places to go.
Yes, it mentions they are particularly suitable or known for these experiences: Dil, Desi, Durgla, Nakura, and Deleme.
Got it. So specific recommendations within the source.
So the author's argument throughout the document really culminates here. They bring together the diverse geography with its extreme variations in islands, the rich biodiversity of both land and sea, the profound history spanning millions of years to recent events, the significant archaeological sites from ancient ports to monasteries, and the vibrant cultural mix.
Right.
The source posits that it is the confluence of all these elements, their concentration in this one region, that truly creates this described treasure trove. It's not just one or two attractions, it's the layered depth and variety that the author is emphasizing.
And for you, the listener, consider how the source frames this region's appeal. It seems designed to attract, well, almost everyone, from the hardcore history buff or paleontologist, to the avid diver or nature photographer, to someone simply interested in unique landscapes and cultural encounters. What specific activity or historical connection mentioned here may be exploring ancient shipwrecks from different eras, searching for traces of million-year-old life, trying to spot endemic bird species, or exploring thousand-year-old mosques and monasteries sparks your personal curiosity the most, based on the picture painted by this document.
It definitely offers a lot to think about. As we bring this deep dive into the source material to a close, let's quickly recap the key points that the author uses to build the case for the northern Red Sea region being a treasure trove.
Good idea.
We've seen how the document highlights a unique geography with dramatic altitude shifts creating rapid climate changes, alongside a vast coastline dotted with hundreds of islands.
Right, the 3 seasons in 2 hours.
Exactly. We've explored the incredible depth of history it reveals, stretching back millions of years through remarkable paleontology, Madame Boya, the footprints and ancient civilizations, right up to more recent events.
Don't forget the vibrant marine life.
Absolutely not. Supported by unpolluted waters, detailed with impressive species numbers. And we've touched upon the wealth of archaeological treasures found across its land and sea, from ancient courts like Adulis to mountaintop monasteries like Debre Bison.
It's clear from the extensive detail and the connections the author makes throughout the document why they aptly titled this region a treasure trove. It genuinely seems full of surprising facts and layers of discovery waiting to be explored, whether on land, in the mountains, or beneath the waves. Hopefully, this deep dive into this specific source material has provided you with a shortcut to understanding the multifaceted richness of this region as presented by the author, offering some intriguing insights and memorable details along the way.
So, To leave you with a thought to ponder, building on the incredible points raised by the source. Given the concentration of such significant paleontological finds, connecting the region directly to the deep history of both humans and megafauna millions of years ago, and the wealth of archaeological evidence linking it directly to ancient global trade networks and the early spread of major religions across continents. How might the future unlocking an increased visibility of this treasure trove for tourism, as advocated by the source, reshape not just the region itself, but potentially our broader understanding of this corner of the world and its often overlooked place in the human story?
That's a big question.
It is. What further untapped potential, what undiscovered layers of this treasure might still lie beneath its land and sea, waiting to be revealed? Something to think about.